We're going to be moving on to a short arm cast or a cast. The reasoning behind this is we want to protect you a little bit longer term, and this would be typically when your swelling is a little bit more down and your provider is going to tell you, I think you're ready to transition into a cast. So what we're going to do is we're going to first start off with a little sock to protect your skin from the cast material. Get your thumb through there. And again, we're being very gentle with this. We're not yanking you, pulling you in any hard direction. So you're going to tell your ortho tech if they're causing any pain. They're going to pay attention to positioning. And now we're going to be adding some padding. And this is, again, to just protect your skin from that cast material. You're going to be going home with this and want to make sure that rubbing or any potential rubbing spot is not going to cause an issue. Typically do it in just a few specific spots where rubbing is most likely to occur. And then dependent upon where you broke your arm or whatever fracture you may have, or might not even be a fracture, a soft tissue injury potentially, your ortho tech's going to put what's called a cutting strip, and that's where we're going to be cutting it off. And we're going to be cutting it off with scissors, not a saw. This material is thin enough where we could take our scissors and cut through the material. So we don't need that saw. Sometimes if you have a fiberglass cast, and that's a kind of a unique situation where potentially a provider wants you to be weight bearing with your foot, or if you're going to be playing sports, football, your provider may recommend getting you into a fiberglass cast, but typically we will put you into an FRC cast. So right now I'm doing kind of the same thing that I did with a splint, where I'm measuring what we call struts, and that's where the rigidity portion of this is going to happen on the front and the back, that volar and dorsal portion. So we're going to just get that kind of all measured out. And then, again, in my bucket here is just water. Once I open this up, this FRC reacts with oxygen, so what it's doing is it's already starting to harden. The water that I'm dunking it into is kind of helping accelerate that reaction. And one important thing to note, when you're getting this on and when it's starting to harden, it will start to feel warm. And that's just part of the normal reaction of this FRC hardening. And what I'm doing here is I'm just wrapping a nice even tension. I'm not doing it too tight. If it does feel too tight, it's very important for you to tell your ortho tech. That way we can correct it or start new. So right here I'm just starting to wrap, and I'm just working my way down, and I'm not doing it too tight, and I'm overlapping by a half. And you can see the front portion where I put my strut. I also did the same on the back, and that's where it's going to be nice and solid. And on the sides, you can see it's just a single layer here of that FRC material, so that's where we're going to kind of cut on this side or this side. And then kind of the same thing as the splint. Once I'm done, I'm going to cut, and then I'm going to do a nice gentle mold where it's just going to be nice even pressure, firm like a handshake. And again, this is the part where it's going to start to feel nice and warm. Kind of like a glove warmer. It's not going to be too hot. It's not going to burn you or anything like that. Now this is the point when you're in a cast or a splint where if, let's say, your provider wanted a very specific mold based on where your fracture or injury occurred, the provider might come over and perform that mold. And again, they're not going to be exerting too much force, just kind of a nice gentle press, getting you in that very specific position that they want you in. And it typically takes a couple of minutes for this to harden, so your ortho tech's just going to be working their way up and down. This is also an opportunity where we can add glitter or any customization if we want. And again, we're not pressing too hard. I don't want to hurt Nicole here. Goal is to just make something that's functional and as comfortable as possible. I don't want to do any damage. So after this is done, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add some felt liner to this, and that's just gonna kind of overlap this white sock. That way it doesn't get frayy or kind of gross or anything like that. Same rules apply from the splint to the cast. We want to make sure that you keep this dry, you don't get it wet. If you get it wet again, it's something that you can't take off. So we just want to make sure that your skin is nice and dry. We just want to make sure that nothing is gross underneath where your skin starts to get wrinkly or starts to break down or anything like that. So what you would do is you would just call us and let us know if it does get soaked. Sometimes we will inform people to try to take like a hair dryer on a cool setting, kind of try to get underneath and just try to dry it off as best as possible. But if it's still soaked, let us know. We'll get you in same day, next day, whatever is easiest for you. So this is the part where we're just gonna add this tape here. It's a felt liner, and it's really just gonna kind of anchor down that white sock so it doesn't fray up. And this is the part where Orthotech's just gonna make this look nice and neat. They may be doing some trimming. One important thing to note, we're gonna be using scissors that won't cut you. They're round tip scissors, so you're gonna feel them against your skin. But again, they have a round tip. We do take all the proper precautions to kind of make sure that we have padding in place that's gonna protect your skin. We're also using kind of safe cutting techniques to make sure that we're not gonna cut you. Always just like to make sure that I remind people of that before I start cutting. And here again is where we're gonna just make it look nice and neat. This is the satisfying part where we're just gonna add that padding and kind of make sure that we cover up any edges of that cast material that might cause pain. Any like irritation, rubbing, or stuff that we just don't want you to have to deal with. And at this moment, you're kind of relaxing, just going with the flow, but we also want you to be paying attention to any spots that feel like they're rubbing. We want you to communicate with your orthotech to just make sure that you're comfortable. Again, I always tell patients that as an orthotech, I'm not going home with this cast, you are, so I can't feel what you're feeling. It's very important for you to communicate with me or one of our orthotechs to make sure that you're as comfortable as possible. So here we're just adding that edging and just covering up all those spots here. And the exact manner and way I'm doing this may not be the exact way that another orthotech may do their cast. Everybody has their own kind of process and technique, so it may not look as good as mine, but everybody just does things just a wee bit different. And that doesn't mean that they're doing it wrong. It's just kind of what we've found over time to really help patients the best. So that with the cast, we could see that it's hard on the back, hard on the front, and on the sides you can kind of see through it, and it's still squishy. It's fully hardened right now, but you'll be able to press. That allows it to make it breathable. And what we'll do is we're going to start by, when we're done, you come back in. One of your orthotechs is going to help cut off that cast. And the way that they do that is they're going to cut it with scissors. They're not going to cut it with a saw. If we do use the saw, it is loud. It's a little bit scary, but it won't cut you. It's an oscillating saw, meaning it goes back and forth. And really, it just gives a little tickle. And your orthotech's well versed in the technique of how to cut that cast off with that. So they'll make sure not to cut you or create any abrasion. So with our cast, we're going to be coming in. You're ready to get that cast cut off. We're going to be using my round tip scissors along with my little nippers. I put a little pad here so that cutting strip that I was talking about, I'm going to cut right along this here. So what I'm first going to do is I'm going to start with my round tip scissors, and they're going to just touch your skin. They're not going to cut you. I always tell patients. And then I'm going to start by going the other way. And we're just going to cut just till we get past that tape. And now I'm gonna move on to my nippers, and these nippers here, I'm gonna be cutting them right along your skin, but they won't cut you. And I'm gonna be cutting right along a pad here. Now for your comfort, a lot of times there's not a lot of space in between the cast and your skin, so it may be uncomfortable if you get some rubbing from the scissors, so just let your ortho tech know. So again, I'm just cutting up along this pad here, nice and slow, very deliberate with how I cut things. And then I'm gonna switch to my round tip scissors here, and underneath you can see it's just padding here. And I'm gonna take my scissors and I'm gonna cut right along. So that's it. We'll take it off. You'll be able to wash your hand, or if we want you to keep your arm still, your ortho tech's gonna let you know.